Welcome back to year number 2 of this apple tree. If you saw the first video last year, you saw me plant this thing. It's a Cosmic Crisp, and then I grafted on a Honeycrisp limb that was very successful. And I'll kind of walk you through a few things from this first year of watching it grow. I did the summer pruning on this thing, and then now we're here in the winter after that first full year. And I'm going to walk you through how I'm going to prune this again, show you kind of what this thing looks like. Again, I know in the film or the video it doesn't necessarily look real flashy with leaves and apples and all that, but this is kind of a critical stage that's going to set me up for fruit growth, short-term and long-term, and then also just keeping this tree really healthy and walking through that. Last year, I went and planted this thing from the nursery, got it from the nursery. It's a Cosmic Crisp. And one of the first things I did after planting this thing was gave it a pretty hard pruning, because I really wanted to focus on which limbs were going to be growing, wanted to cause some new growth, and then also give plenty of chance for the root development. So this first year really was mostly about root development with a little bit of structure. Year number 2, I feel like the roots are out there pretty well, and I'm going to start focusing more and more on this top part while these roots continue to spread here in the yard and get established. So I'm not necessarily needing to do a heavy pruning because a lot of this was done last year, but I'm going to go around this and kind of pick and choose some parts, do a little bit of tip pruning, and I also have some plans for some grafting. I've got a couple, I don't even know what you call them, but the sticks, the apple sticks. I got a Gala, Fuji, and one or two other, I can't remember what they are. Anyway, so we're going to get those things grafted on here at some point, but still a little early for when I like to graft. I usually graft when, probably like more in that March, April-ish, right as the buds are about ready to burst. So some of the things I'm looking at here is, I really want to look at what that structure looks like. And so I've got a few limbs in here that last year I was very intentional about wanting to see those things continue to grow out. Last year, this is where I pruned it initially. This was that leader, and I wanted to kind of start encouraging that to go out more this way. So it's obviously shot up. I'll keep playing with that. This thing is going really nice out this way. I'll probably even get pretty severe and come back here and trim this thing up. So first thing I'm going to do here is kind of study what do I need to do with this, where do I tip prune it, which is going to cause more limbs to shoot out. Here's an example of that tip pruning. Went and cut it here, and as this thing, kind of the 3 buds right below that shot out, and so now I've got 3 branches. So I'll bring these back down, kind of short here. As I get ready to prune this tree, I wanted to take care of this base, and I moved all those strawberry planters out of here, and I can see real quick some mounds of dirt, which tells me, and I think I saw this about a month ago, there was I can see a little tunnel, so I think I got a mole here. I'll have to get my mole trap out and deal with that, but I do want to keep this area nice and free from weeds and anything else, especially in these early years, getting this thing nice and established. One quick thing as far as supplies, I always have this is kind of my gardening, weeding, pruning little bin. It's got a variety of things from stuff for grafting and whatever else, but I do always with my pruners, I like to go and get those things freshened up and sharpened. Haven't used these things for a couple of weeks when I was last doing some roses, so I go through here, and you always you have a little sharpener, and it's always good to start with a nice sharp blade when you're going to go to pruning. So kind of, if you've seen it in my other videos, I always do this, but just kind of take a little slight angle, follow the groove that's on there, and just kind of shave this off. Let me show you here. So again, you have one side that typically gets sharpened, at least on this style, and so I'll just take this and just gently put some firm pressure on there and just guide it down there about I mean, sometimes just 10-12 times while I'm pruning, but I'm gonna do a few extra times here because I haven't got a couple little grooves in that blade. I just want to keep that thing nice and sharp. You don't do anything with this side, it'll kind of squeeze in there, but that thing is good and sharp. So then while I'm pruning, I might periodically just go through and do a couple extra ones just to get a nice good cut on there. So anyway, that's one thing I do when I'm gonna go prune. Every once in a while, if I've been pruning something else, I don't want to spread diseases or whatever, so I'll go and take an little alcohol pad thing and just wipe this, let it dry, just to keep this thing clean from any diseases. But this thing is ready to go. I also keep in here, I've got some different weeding and gardening tools. Always keep a pair of gloves in there ready to go. And even stuff like for rooting hormone, if I'm going to take a cutting and see if I can start something, I'll have that there. So anyway, that's that. So yeah, I'm gonna go through here and just kind of prune it, get the weeds out of there and things, get it leveled out, and then we'll see about the mole issue. That's kind of another thing, but I do see signs of life under those strawberry containers. Alright, so I got this thing pretty well cleaned out, all the weeds, especially old leaves and just droppings that could have come from this tree. I want to make sure anything that's old or dead, possibly diseased, is gone. So this is nice and cleaned up. Roots are continuing to just grow in here. I don't know what's all going on here, but I wanted to be gentle in there this, you know, still while this tree is young. I don't have any, you know, like water sprouts or anything coming up yet from the rootstock, but at some point, years down the road, that'll be just a natural thing about apple trees, and I'll definitely want to cut those things back whenever I can. But next, I'm going to go look through here and see where I want to possibly do a little bit of pruning. I don't need to do a huge amount in these first couple years because, again, I'm just focusing on root growth and getting some of that initial strength in there, but there definitely are a few things that are important. So let me take you through what I'm seeing. So as I start to study this tree, the first priority I want to look at is my graft. So in this case, it's the Honeycrisp graft that I put in here, down here last year. And as this thing continues to grow, it's going at a nice angle, but again, I want to continue to push that thing kind of out a little bit more here where my pruners are. I'm going to bring this thing down about a third to halfway, knowing that those buds below wherever I cut are going to start to shoot out. And hopefully at some point I'll get some fruit buds on there also. And so I've got a bud here, but this one is going in towards the tree, and I don't want to encourage this thing to grow at all in. So I'm looking for something going more out, like this one here, or on the opposite side of it, right down here. This one kind of goes out here. So I think I'm going to come in here and just give it a little snip, and so that thing will shoot out that direction, and should be in a good spot. Looking at this branch, this is one of the ones I left last year, and I actually pruned it right there so I can continue to get this strength. So I want that, and I do want this thing shooting out over time. But if I'm getting some fruit on here, like way out here, that's going to be a lot of weight as this thing is still pretty young. And this may not be a long-term one. It is low, and as this tree gets a little taller, I'd like to have you know, about 4 feet before I trunk. But I'm going to go ahead and bring this back. Looking for kind of that outward-facing bud. Trim that. So I got my Honeycrisp here, got this one coming out here, and I'm just gonna continue to, I want to encourage this thing to continue to grow, so I'll cut this one back, and just continue to want to see bud growth for next year. So again, I'm going for the bowl shape over time. So I kind of want this thing to go out and out that way, as so, you know, there's fruit that's hanging off of there. Not necessarily going for this to be super tall. And last year, when I clipped it, I think this is my original cut right here, but cut that and then it shot up. If I cut it right now, it's going to again shoot up more things up. So I'm going to wait on that. But these ones here, I do want to continue to cause these to go out versus up. So I'm going to bring these back quite a bit. See if I can get them to continue to go out that way. And then this one I'll come back later, and I'll probably get rid of that and let these just kind of build out. Then again, I've got this one that's coming out now. I'll wait over time and see if there's this kind of two parallel here. And they're pretty far apart, but I do want to continue to encourage this. It's really thin right now, but want to encourage that one to continue to go out there. So I'm just going to give it a little pruning here, about 1/3 of the way back, see if I can get that thing to continue to shoot out new life, also thicken up. But it's got, you know, a good 45-degree angles. It's moving pretty well along. Height wise, you know, last year this thing was half the height, so it's definitely shot up over the course of the year. But I will, this part right here, I'm going to wait for summer pruning and cut that, because I don't want this thing just bolting up there. Oops. But again, it's 2 years old now, real healthy. All right, well, for the second year, because we took care of it in the first year, there's not as much that needs to be done. A few little cuttings on some branches. There was nothing diseased, nothing really broken on this one. And I did the summer pruning, so there wasn't a huge amount of new pruning to do. But anything I do cut right now is going to encourage that thing to kick out new branches and really bolt. So I'm being cautious about what I do there. I am continuing to want to encourage this thing to kind of go out at that kind of that canopy V-cut versus straight up. So you know, anything that would be going straight up I would cut back, but so far it's looking good. And we'll just continue to see how this thing grows. I'll come back again and do another video once or twice a year. Hopefully you'll get to see the progression over the years, and this will be encouraging and helpful. Yeah, if you've got any questions or thoughts, put that in the feedback, and have a good life.